Is Portland, Oregon actually safe to live in? Having lived here myself for the last 5 years, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's go. Hey everybody, my name's Cullen. I'm a local real estate agent right here in the Portland, Oregon area. So if you guys are looking to make a move, my information's right down there in the description area. Go ahead and reach out, whether you're moving next week or next year. I'd love to help you. Okay, let's talk about the crime stats and trends and how that affects you as a home buyer. A lot of your crime is gonna be centered around where you're gonna have higher density areas because you're gonna have more vagrancy there, which leads to more petty crime, crime of opportunity, car break-ins, things like that. But then there are other sections of Portland where there are higher rates of crime. And one thing real estate agents are barred from doing is steering you. And what that basically means is steering you in or away from certain neighborhoods. So I am not allowed to steer you into or away from another neighborhood. I'm just here presenting you guys some information, some stats that's available on the internet that anybody can look up. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other to one particular neighborhood, just providing you information so you can decide, hey, what is the best neighborhood for you? So let's pull up the Portland crime map. I'll go over some of those areas in more detail with you right now. So let's bring up here the crime map that the city of Portland puts out. And this is all the data directly from the police bureau. Now this is all the city of Portland. It's not the Metro Portland. All your suburbs are gonna be right out here outside. So that's not included in the city of Portland because each of those towns or cities have their own police force, so they'd have their own crime data. So here you can just see in general, here is downtown. If I hover over here, and they call it neighbors west, northwest. And this is over the last year. This is the amount of crime over the last year. The darker blue it gets, the higher volume of crime in that area. That's where our highest amount of vagrancy issues were and are, and the amount of tents and things like that. That's always kind of been the case as far as higher amount of crime. This is the highest amount of commercial space and traffic. Pretty much any downtown, you're gonna see a little higher case, but you can kind of see, here's downtown, Northwest District right over here. Here's Pearl District. So you can see 6,600 total offenses. That includes persons, which is all kinds of assaults from homicide, the human trafficking offenses, kidnapping, sexual offenses. And this is for the whole year for all of Portland, right down here. And then you get into property, which is, this is for the whole city for all last year. Arson, 333. Our homicides for the last 12 months is 96. Right here for the whole city of Portland. Arson, burglary, burglary is a big item here. A lot of cars being broken into. And then you can see down here, vandalism issues, motor vehicle theft, fraud offenses, larceny. That's a big number. You can pull up the maps yourself, Google in there, Portland crime statistics by the police department, and you'll get a hit right there at the top. So you can just go over here and go by all the different neighborhoods and kind of, dive a little bit deeper into here. The dark blue again is the higher amounts of crime. Here's Hazelwood over here with a higher amount of crime here, 37, almost 3,800 reported offenses. And it kind of give you an idea, because if you're saying, okay, here's the total amount of offenses total in Portland, the 58,000 right here, right? This is over the last 12 months. So you got 3,800 of them over there, and downtown you got 6,600 of them right here, 3,100 right over here in Northwest, right over here St. John's, you got 1,200 of them right here. So you can dive a little bit deeper into those stats. So let's just click on downtown, and then here it'll pull up all these offenses right here. So you see the homicides 7 right there, and burglaries 278. And you can also, if you look here at downtown, you can see October last year, 529 offenses, and here this October, we had 455 offenses. You could argue, if you look back at the big picture, we are getting less crime in the city now versus last year. So that is good. That's definitely the feel that I get. Definitely do see less vagrancy, less tents. The city is making an effort to get those numbers down, hire more officers. As time goes on, you're just gonna see these numbers get better and better, hopefully. And talking about the crime, Portland is no different than a lot of other cities all around the US. Portland itself has about 600,000 residences, and Portland is divided into 6 sections. We got north, northeast, southeast, south, southwest, the city center, which is really northwest Portland, and a little bit of southwest Portland. Then you have all the suburbs that are outside of Portland that make up the Portland metro. You have places like Lake Oswego, where I live, and then you've got Beaverton, Hillsborough, you've got Happy Valley, and many others as well. Those are just the main big ones that you may have heard of. And now crime statistically is a lot lower in those areas than it is in the city of Portland. And that makes a lot of sense. Those areas of the suburbs are a lot less dense overall than the actual city of Portland. And so in the city of Portland, you have a lot more commercial businesses that are closely organized together. So you just get more of that vagrancy issues and the petty crime that come with it. Now, crime in general terms has basically doubled since before pre-COVID. So like 2019 to now, because of COVID and all those factors that went with it, crime, including violent crime, the amount of shootings and deaths from shootings, that basically doubled from that violent crime there. But if you do look at those, most of that stuff happens in the city of Portland and a few different areas that it's kind of more focused in on. And I'll pull that up here on the maps for you guys. But then when you go and zoom out to the suburban cities, that number has not jumped up as far as the violent crime. There's been a little bit of an uptick, but nothing like compared to the city of Portland. That goes into a bunch of different factors, but the main one being is that there's just more condensed housing, more people per city block in those areas, and more commercial venues for vagrancy to be able to take advantage of. So if you don't mind living further away from the city and in the suburbs, then you can kind of draw your own conclusions that yes, it is safer statistically to live in the suburbs than it is in the city of Portland, but you're not going to have that urban lifestyle that you would get in, say, southeast or northeast Portland. There's some really cool hip areas, and I'm a real estate agent. I'm in those areas all the time. I help clients find homes all the way from southeast Portland to Lake Oswego, and I'm in and out of those areas all the time, and I always feel safe. So that, again, that is during the daytime. At nighttime, if you're here visiting, always exercise caution. Don't go out anywhere super late at night unless you're really aware of your surroundings. Hey guys, I'm a local real estate agent. So if you guys are looking for more information or you're looking to buy or sell, go ahead and reach out. My information's right down there in the description area. I can't know if you're looking to buy or sell if you don't reach out. Let's talk about neighborhood safety. Now, neighborhood safety is a very general term, right? You really just want to look at the stats in a particular area that you want to live in. And again, it's really going to vary between the suburbs and more the urban, closer in to the city center. You're going to get higher concentrations of crime because there's more people living there, more commercial spaces. If you go out to the suburbs, it gets way, way safer. And again, I'm talking, just look at the stats. Nothing's guaranteed, but if you look at, say, Lake Oswego, for example, it has its own police force, it has its own mayor, its own city council, its own school district. It's a city of about 40,000 people. So I think when you get to an area like that, it's a lot easier to maintain, to police, to keep that checks and balances on law and order, and for the city to be able to keep up with property owners. Of course, it is a more wealthy area of Portland, probably the most wealthy area of Portland. That also obviously plays a factor into it. People have a little bit more money to maintain their homes, and tax dollars that goes back into the community. So the crime in Lake Oswego is very, very low, extremely low. That's why it's always hitting the marks on some of the best places to live in the United States is Lake Oswego, and that goes from the low crime all the way to the quality of life. And let's talk about Beaverton for another example of a suburb. It's its own city of Beaverton. That has a population of about 100,000 people, so say 2.5 times the population of Lake Oswego. Beaverton does have a higher density than, say, Lake Oswego does, but a lower density than the city of Portland. And I'll pull up the crime map here for the city of Beaverton, and you can check that out. And you can see it really is highlighted there. The concentration goes up in more of the commercial areas. My opinion is once you get into the neighborhoods, it is very safe. And that is a general rule of thumb for the suburbs all around Portland. And it's gonna be no different than a lot of the suburbs in any city across America. So if you're looking for safety, that's a big concern of yours in the place that you live, and you don't care as much about being walking distance to coffee shops and all those kinds of things, then living in the suburbs or picking a smaller town right outside of the city of Portland is probably going to be the best bet for you. Now let's talk about safety and policing initiatives. I just published a video a few weeks ago that highlights what's going on in Portland, what's changed, what is the city doing differently. I'll go ahead and put a link to that video right down there in the description area. You can check that one out if you missed it. And in that video, I talk about one of the community initiatives that some of the citizens have put together, and that is to try and get the homeless and the vagrancy off of the streets. Their whole idea is to reduce the number of tents on the streets and get people into housing. And that is, temporary housing for the homeless. So in that example, they had taken in a small section of downtown where they had counted 50 tents. 1 month after a month of going in there and trying to get the homeless and people camping out into temporary housing, they reduced that number in just 1 month to 16 tents from 50 tents. And now they're trying to expand that into other sections of Portland. And that's just an initiative that was done by the citizens. And I thought that was, really inspirational and a great program. That's just one example of the kind of initiatives that are, starting to build here in Portland, because honestly, the citizens are sick of the city being dirty, the vagrancy, the increase in the crime, especially the petty crime. People want to feel free and safe to walk about their city again. People are walking about the city, but it's just not as vibrant as it was before. That is something that the city has definitely gotten the message on and is working towards. They've also put an initiative in to hire more police officers. The city of Portland has about 800 police officers. We used to have, pre-COVID, we had about 1,000. So they're actively trying to get that number back up now to 1,000 police officers. A lot of them had quit and retired amid the riots and all that kind of stuff that went on. And so now they're trying to get those numbers back up, which I think, obviously help a lot if there's more police per neighborhood to be able to walk the beat, to patrol in their cars. That's just gonna bring down crime of opportunity. I get calls all the time from people looking to buy or sell a home from Southeast Portland to Lake Oswego. So if that's you, whether it's next week or next year, go ahead and reach out and give me a call. My information's right down there in the description area. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you're gonna love this next one that's popping up on the screen right here. Hope you enjoy.